The Boss Baby is a March 2017 DreamWorks animation film that received nominations for awards across the board, overthrowing delights such as the Lego Movie, and only being stopped by the likes of Coco. The film was so successful it quintupled its budget, as well as produced its own spin-off TV series that is still ongoing today. And despite its strongly mixed reviews from parents loving the basic comedy and anyone with a brain seeing its stupidity, in almost exactly a year from now, The Boss Baby is coming back. Now, I didn't really watch The Boss Baby when it came out. I don't know why. Maybe I had a life back then. But with my asthmatic condition, I've been crawled up in self-isolation for a while now, and though I could be spending my time binging something like Beastars or whatever, instead I've been catching up on all of my Boss Baby lore. There are 3 seasons of this as of this month? How is there so much content to sit through? Oh, and it is not good. I could probably make a whole video just on this. But no, today we're going to be picking through both the original movie and parts of this show to piece together what information we can for our uncomfortable demise in a year's time. So the world of The Boss Baby all follows the life of Tim Templeton and his new baby brother, the Boss Baby. No, that's literally just his name. And the whole joke of his character is just that. The baby's the boss. Don't expect it to really go any further than that for the whole 97-minute runtime. It's your classic getting to terms with an expanded family story meshed with a fantastical adventure of the secret world of babies that adults are clearly oblivious of. As a concept, it's kinda not bad, but at the same time, it's really, really stupid. I don't know if it's the execution or the idea itself, but it's clearly built with a particular audience in mind. The kind of audience that doesn't think. Logically, this movie just completely falls apart, but as just a shallow spectacle to sit down and watch with your brainless minds, yeah, it has droves of things to look at and, I guess, laugh at. I say laugh at, because the jokes found in this movie are really not all that comedic either. It's all still more of that stupid content. Hey look, our movie's all about a baby being center stage. You know what that gives us limitless access to? Toilet humor, naked baby butts, and so many fart jokes to be had. Haha! The kids will love it as long as they're not intellectually developed yet, and the parents? Well, this is perfect middle-aged mom humor. It's the ultimate concoction of all of our mustard boomer humor. Chuck in a couple forced references and we're golden. It cannot possibly fail. And somehow they were right. This film absolutely exploded. But to its credit, I can see a surprisingly good amount of positives about this film. Sure, it's still shallow and trashy, but what I really wasn't expecting was all of this visual acuity. This movie is visually quite stunning, and clearly comes back to that idea of gripping the attention of kids because every single scene seems to have some sort of fantastical element attached to it. And even beyond that, it ties in with some of the ideals of the film. Our technical protagonist, Tim, is broadcasted as having a wild imagination, and the story is being told thoroughly through his perspective. So there's all sorts of animation fan service that I must admit, I really enjoyed and certainly wasn't expecting. Oftentimes it even went beyond just looking cool by actually whipping out some symbolism and how Tim was internally feeling. That's some pretty stellar storytelling, and something I'd love to see more in animated movies. Get that Edgar Wright translated over here. But at the same time, while these visuals do look nice, the actual consistency of the art style is completely tarnished, rendering much of the internal logic void. Sometimes it's presented as happening like normal, like when the parents are singing to Tim before the Boss Baby makes an appearance, and other times it's a 2D marker pen style to show the sneaking process of Tim trying to confront his new baby brother a tad later on. There's no real rhyme or reason for what style influences what, only that it's just a mishmash of whatever Tim, or I guess the directors, feel like spreading out at the time. And adding further to that, sometimes the jokes splashed in at this time shred completely opposite to the logic of the film in a way that is just irreparable from an intellectual point of view. The biggest offender here is the scene where Tim is fighting the boss baby in the garden, where it's all built up as this major action scene with events that are way over the top for what you'd expect from a baby. That's the shallow joke of the film. But then mid-scene, the film then cuts to the parents watching them fight in reality as a playtime event instead, as if the entire confrontation is imaginary. This doesn't make any sense, because everything else in this film follows the events as if they are real. We never see this perspective again, and only confuses the film's logic further. As far as the film's concerned, this is just a cheap trope of a joke that isn't actually true to the film. It doesn't make sense in any other context. And unfortunately, taking things at face value is the only way to get through this film at all. Intellects can stay behind. And though this logic point is probably such a minor issue for the likes of young children and their clueless parents, clearly the greater world cares about it, as reviews for this film were strongly mixed at around 52% enjoyment. That's pretty stark for the success it had. But hey, while you may have seen this movie before in your most colourful nightmares, have you ever actually peered into the 3-seasoned Boss Baby TV series? Because that is a trip to take on. I'll give you a brief peer into it for you, don't worry. A week's worth of research led me to this. While you may all be binge watching something like Avatar or The Office or, I don't know, playing Animal Crossing, I've been watching Boss Baby. What a life I lead. But just before we cross the barrier of no return, first, if you're liking things so far, why not go ahead and subscribe? I'll watch these terrible TV shows so you don't have to, and you really don't want to. Plus, I can see whether or not you're unsubbed, so it would help me out a ton in these trying times.
Who's in charge? Me, the boss baby.
Why? So in case you were wondering up front, no, it doesn't get any better. In fact, the greatest part about the movie is completely lost in Back in Business. You know that whole element of animation love letters and pretty colors? Yeah, that's all gone here. Instead, it's replaced with just this really generic foundation design that looks like every other kids show ever, and really just scrapes the bottom of the barrel with its joke quality.
Do they still work the same way?
Yes, you suck.
You suck!
I'm gonna fill my diaper right now and never break eye contact.
Ooh. What did you do?
What?
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize your brother was a liberal.
They really put that in a kids show. So to get into the meat of the story of the movie, the Boss Baby is the result of when a baby doesn't have the innocence to be tickled and so are sent to management by the big baby factory. There he works his way up and is given the mission to service the company Baby Corps by helping the influence of love to babies at all costs. Apparently there is finite love in this world, and the most lovable things in the world are all conflicting to be the big dog, with Baby Corps' biggest rival being Puppyco. The Boss Baby is sent on a field mission to the Templeton house to access Puppyco through Tim's parents, who are marketing workers at the company. If that wasn't enough of a strange underworld concept, Tim is then also hoiked into the drama as his dissatisfaction of being neglected by his baby brother drives him to help the Boss Baby so that he can return back to the company. Kinda like your classic buddy cop drama. I mean, you know the beats. So they enter Puppyco through Bring Your Child to Work Day and confront the founder of Puppyco, Francis, who just so happens to be an old CEO of Baby Corps that Boss Baby used to look up to. What is this, like the 5th DreamWorks villain character trope to follow this plot twist now? Similarly, while the movie has super colossal big fat Boss Baby, aka Francis, the TV series also has a string of new CEOs every season. From mega fat CEO Boss Baby, the annoying pompous archetype, scary sweary CEO Boss Baby, whose entire gag is that one episode of SpongeBob,
Now get your hands out of your and get to work.
and season 2's turtleneck superstar CEO Boss Baby. Steve Jobs was already dead for 7 years by the time this released. This is an old dead horse. Still, back on track, Puppyco has a new announcement that is sure to destroy the success of Baby Corps through their new invention of the Forever Puppy. Scary. And with Francis overpowering the two of them, his plan can continue onwards, flying Tim's parents to Vegas and perfecting the forever formula with the baby's very own magic formula that allows them to stay young for as long as they need to. With the parents practically stolen away, though they're clearly oblivious to it themselves, Tim and the boss baby have to escape the babysitter henchmen and catch up to Vegas themselves. Really, it's your kind of run-of-the-mill story by this point, you know? Buddy cops learning to accept each other, villain who has a previous mentor/icon status, brute henchman, a race against time, you know, that kind of thing. The villains of the TV series also kind of play with some fun concepts though. Season 1 goes against Bootsy Calico, an adult raised by cats who wants to pull love towards cats over babies by planting 6 well-placed kittens. No, really, that's his master plan. And it works. Season 2 is about the elderly wanting more love through stinkless serum, which goes on a bit of a tangent. And also just finishes in the most idiotic of ways. And Season 3 tackles brainwashing robot babysitters. It's all simple plots mostly, but hey, it does expand the world to how you'd imagine it to be. What's the next rival gonna be for the sequel? Chicks? Pugs? Spouses? Or just a pet in-house that the boss baby and Tim have to go against? Maybe someone's gonna try and destroy all love in the world from everybody. I don't know, man. Either way, you can imagine it's dictated by this pie chart of love. Anyway, with Tim and the boss baby evading the babysitter, the boss baby starts having new trouble with his stolen formula, slowly turning back into a normal baby. It's actually here when coming up with a plan to go to Vegas that I actually kind of enjoyed one of the jokes.
Oh, baby. Thank you very much. Hey, baby. We're hugging, too. You got Betty Sue dressing like a Pegasus and had Anna Ray. There we go. Humming. Whoa, baby.
Oh no, am I getting old? Actually, a handful of these jokes aren't the worst in the world, but it's always the loudest and most obnoxious ones that make you want to really slap yourself in the face. The subtler stuff seems almost smart? I don't know about that, but it's better. So yeah, they reach Francis just as he unleashes the forever puppy, and the logic of it all is just so stupid. Think it stops after just the movie? No, of course not. The TV series has all sorts of moments like this that are just insultingly stupid to explain the behaviors of humans.
Oh, babe, let's have a baby!
I hate cats so much.
Like, how are these breeds of humans not extinct yet if the mere concept of a cute animal is enough to stop all reproduction plans entirely? What a sheeple of a society. But yes, assuming all of the action scenes are somehow reality, the film begins to come to a close with one last fight against Francis, dropping him into a tub of baby formula and having the henchmen take him away. There's a brief threat of a rocket killing the parents to launch forever puppies everywhere because this film just had to throw something extra, and once it's all done, it's time for the happy ending. Even though they didn't really stop the forever puppies, just released them from the rocket out into Las Vegas. Is there no other staff or means to send the puppies elsewhere? Are the people of Las Vegas still influenced by forever puppies? How does the world not find out more? Just don't think about it. Be a good brainless audience member now. Go on, shut up. But here's where the film tries to really kick in some heart into its story, I guess. With their mission a success, the boss baby is beckoned back to BabyCorp with a promotion to CEO status, just as desired, whilst Tim Templeton finally gets some alone time with his family and no baby brother distractions. The parents' memories are wiped for good, and the two boys are unsatisfied. It's a buddy cop trope, remember? They come to learn that the things they wanted weren't actually the things they wanted, and it's the act of learning to ride a bike or how to feel ticklish feelings or using your imagination that is the thing that brings them together. Turns out the theme of this story was all about family. Aww. So the boss baby rejects his CEO position and dives back into the baby-making machine, only to use his newfound tickle spot to become a normal human being. No more magic formula, no more suit, but apparently all the memory in the world. I think, anyway. And as a final piece for the movie, turns out it was all a retelling from a grown-up Tim to his daughter, only to reveal the newest daughter is similarly a boss baby herself. Again, you really shouldn't think too hard on the logic of what's real and what's not, because it really doesn't make any sense. Either it's a shallow spectacle you really shouldn't think about, or the one functioning theory is that it's a fake story told by Tim, which activates the daughter's imagination to believe the fake reality that her new baby sister is also a boss baby. If that's too complicated for you, just chalk it down as it just doesn't matter. After all, we just established that the boss baby, now renamed Ted, is no longer a manager baby and retracted back to normal baby status. Yet somehow in the sequel TV series he's back to being a boss baby and is also an integrated part of the family. There's also all sorts of other retconning, like how being fired now leads to a 6-month severance package of leftover formula just for the convenience of having that baby reverting scene again for a disgraced CEO boss baby in season 3, but whatever. Look, I've spent a lot of time looking at poor quality baby animations. The whole logical side of my brain kinda checked out a few days ago. I didn't even get to enjoy the talent of the big name cast put into this movie, as the TV series has all but one character recast for it. Apparently they're coming back for the sequel film though. I've now learned far too much about each one of the boss baby's friends, but they're still just the same generic archetypes as ever, and any progression they made in this film is completely restarted and doesn't shift for the entire 3-piece TV series. I think I've had enough of the boss baby. It is a successful enigma. It's bad. It's really bad. The jokes are stupid, the execution is shallow, the concept is unmovingly paper thin in depth, and yet it's incredibly successful. Clearly, there's a burgeoning market for mindless content. And though I really enjoyed the stylized transitional direction and the symbolism scattered in, the general tone of whip-lashing logic and cheap tricks and tropes makes for a really mentally exhausting film. And though I have no doubt, looking at the state of the child animation industry, that none of these negative points will be ironed out, at least we can say that we have almost a full year to prepare ourselves for yet another successful collection of boomer butt humor that the world is certain to taint us with in the future. And hey, with all this self-isolation, the time's gonna really drag on anyway. I'm gonna go binge watch something that doesn't make my head feel heavy. Maybe Alvin and the Chipmunks. Yeah, that looks less damaging. For now, stay safe out there. My name's been Dazz. You don't really care, and I'll see you in a bit. I seriously spent so much time watching The Boss Baby. I can't forget that now. I had to witness some things.